Imagine this. Are you truly using the full potential of your mind? Have you ever thought about how you could improve the way you think? Success in life doesn't just come from hard work, it comes from thinking smarter. And that's exactly what Edward Berger and Michael Starbird's book, The 5 Elements of Effective Thinking, teaches us. This book shows you how to unlock the hidden power in your mind and solve problems more easily, simply by changing the way you think. Everyone has that hidden mental strength, it just needs to be awakened. In this video, we're going to explore how you can elevate your thinking and change your life by using 5 simple elements. Hello friends, welcome back to Book Insider, where today we dive deep into the 5 elements of effective thinking by Edward Berger and Michael Starbird. But before we start, I want to share a story with you. One day, Arv was coming back from college, his mind wandering as usual. He was frustrated. Why can't I seem to get my thoughts in the right direction? He wondered. That's when his eyes landed on a small bookshop. Inside, he saw an old man sitting behind the counter, his eyes sparkling with wisdom, his face calm, full of experience. R's curiosity got the better of him, so he stepped inside. "Excuse me," he asked the old man. "Do you have a book that could teach me the right way to think?" The old man smiled knowingly. You want to learn how to think properly, don't you? But tell me, have you ever truly thought deeply? Arv was taken aback. Deeply? What do you mean? The old man pulled out a book. It was titled The 5 Elements of Effective Thinking. This book can change the way you think, he said, but you need to understand it slowly, step by step. The first lesson is ground your thinking. Ground my thinking? Arv asked, confused. Yes, the old man said. You tend to get tangled up in big problems, but the real issue is that you don't understand the basics. You need to build a solid foundation before you can solve anything complex. Real thinking begins when you go deep. Wait, so I have to go back to the basics? Arv asked, a little hesitant. The old man nodded, exactly. To solve any big problem, break it down into small parts. Understand each part deeply, feel it. Only when you truly get the smaller pieces can you solve the bigger problem. Arv listened carefully. But what should I do then? He asked. The old man read the first line of the book out loud. Understand deeply. He continued, you can only move forward when you fully understand what you're doing. Let's say you're solving a math problem. Memorizing the formula might work for a while, but if you don't understand the reason behind the formula, you'll be stuck when something new comes up. Arv nodded slowly. I often ignore the basics. I always feel like I should keep moving forward, not waste time on small details. That's exactly the problem, the old man said, smiling. The solutions to big problems are hidden in the small parts. How can you move ahead without understanding those? Arv paused, reflecting on his past experiences. He realized that whenever he tried to learn something new, he'd always rush straight to the advanced stuff, skipping over the fundamentals. So, I need to start again from the basics? Arv asked. Yes, the old man replied, but don't be afraid. The basics will lead you forward. Once you start understanding things deeply, everything else will become easier. That night, for the first time, Arv tried to truly understand something deeply. He thought to himself, If I focus on the smaller problems and grasp them completely, maybe I can solve the bigger ones too. This was the beginning of his new journey. The road ahead was long, but now Arav knew that his first step was to ground his thinking. He promised himself that he wouldn't move on to the next lesson until he had fully absorbed this one. But Arav still had a question lingering in his mind. Is it really worth it to put in so much effort? Am I doing the right thing? Days passed as Arav worked on mastering this first lesson, but he often found himself stuck, unsure if he was making any progress. Then, one day, he met the old man again, the man he now knew as underscore. And that's where we'll pause. If you want to dive deeper into Arav's journey and unlock the full potential of your mind like he did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Ladder Up. We offer free summaries like this. But if you want to support our channel, you can become a member or send us your support via UPI. Thanks for watching, and keep expanding your mind. So, guess what? Ar decided to visit Uncle Ved again. After all, their last conversation had opened his mind in ways he never expected. Maybe there was even more to learn this time. When Arav walked in, Uncle Ved looked up, smiled, and asked, "So, how's it going? Have you started changing the way you think?" Arav sighed, feeling a little defeated. "Yeah, Uncle. I've been working on the basics, trying to understand things deeply. But every time I start working on a new idea, I end up failing. It feels like all my hard work is going to waste." Uncle Ved listened carefully, nodding, and then he smiled. "Ah, so you're failing. That's great news." Arav blinked in surprise. "Great news? How can failing be good?" "Uncle, I want to move forward, but all this failing just keeps pulling me back." Uncle Ved chuckled and said, "That's the next lesson, Arav. You need to understand that failing is not a bad thing. In fact, it's one of the best things that can happen if you look at it the right way. The next lesson is ignite insights through failure." "Wait, what do you mean?" Arav asked, still confused. Uncle Ved leaned in and explained, "Look, when you succeed at something, what do? You move on to the next thing, right? But when you fail, you stop. You think. You reflect. You try to figure out what went wrong. That's when you truly learn. Failure teaches you how to get it right next time." Arav started to think, but he still wasn't convinced. "But, Uncle, isn't it bad to fail over and over again? People laugh at you. They make fun of your failures." Uncle Ved's expression grew serious as he looked deep into Arav's eyes. "It doesn't matter what people say, Arav. What matters is what you learn from your mistakes. If every time you fail, you take a step back and figure out what went wrong, then you are the one growing. That's what real success is." Arav nodded slowly. "So, I have to learn from my mistakes?" Uncle Ved smiled warmly. "Not just learn, Arav. You need to learn to see your mistakes clearly. When you fail, the first thing you should ask yourself is, what went wrong? Understand it deeply, then figure out how to fix it. But simply thinking about it isn't enough. You have to try again." Arav looked thoughtful. "But what if I fail again?" Uncle Ved chuckled. "Then try again. Every time you fail, you get a chance to understand what not to do next time. That's the real lesson." He opened the book to the second chapter and read aloud. "Use mistakes as a guide to insight." Uncle Ved then gave a simple example. Let's say you're painting a picture and you use the wrong color. Do you throw the whole painting away? Of course not. You try to fix that one mistake. It's the same with life. When you fail, don't think the entire effort was wasted. Just focus on where the mistake happened and work on correcting it. Arav took a deep breath. "I see now. I have to look at my failures in a new way." Uncle Ved's eyes sparkled with encouragement. "Exactly. You should see your failures as opportunities. Every time you fail, you're learning something new. Sometimes The failure of one idea can be the solution to another problem. Arv's face lit up. Wait, so even if my idea fails, I could still find a way to use it for something else? Uncle Ved nodded. Exactly. Failure doesn't mean defeat. It means you found a new way to look at things. It's giving you a new perspective. Behind every failure is a hidden lesson. If you can find that lesson, you'll never truly lose. Arv sat quietly for a moment, letting the words sink in. He realized why he had been failing over and over. He was treating every failure as a dead end, a loss. But now, he understood. Failure was actually teaching him. It was making him stronger. Uncle Ved continued, and one more important thing, Arv, you need to stress test your thinking. Push your ideas to their limits. Test them until they break. Arv looked puzzled. You mean I should try to break my ideas? Uncle Ved smiled. Yes, sometimes you have to push your ideas to the edge. Only then will you see their true strengths and weaknesses. That's not failure. That's uncovering the truth about your idea. Arv nodded slowly, understanding the depth of Uncle Ved's words. He now saw failure as a necessary part of growth. He wasn't going to run from his mistakes anymore. Instead, he was going to learn from them. He was going to test his ideas, push them, and improve. Uncle Ved patted him on the back. Remember, Arv, failure is what leads you to success. You just have to know how to look at it. Arv smiled, feeling more confident than he had in a long time. He thanked Uncle Ved and headed home. That night, Arv wrote in his journal, "Don't run from your mistakes. Understand them. Every failure holds a lesson, and if you can find it, you'll never truly fail." He felt stronger, more confident, and ready to tackle his ideas head-on. Thanks to Uncle Ved, Arv had learned the power of failure, and he was ready to embrace it. But there was still something missing in his thinking. He realized he was still stuck in some of his old habits, his old beliefs. He needed to challenge himself even more. One evening, while walking through the park, Arv had an idea. One evening, Arv found himself once again sitting on a park bench, deep in thought. His mind wandered to his last conversation with Uncle Ved, and he felt the urge to speak to him again. Just as this thought crossed his mind, he saw Uncle Ved walking by. Arv smiled, feeling a wave of familiarity and relief. "Uncle Ved," Arv called out. The older man turned around with a gentle smile, recognizing the young boy. "Ah, Arv, you seem different today. Has something changed in how you think?" he asked, his voice warm with curiosity. Arv chuckled softly, nodding. "Yes, Uncle. I'm not running away from my mistakes anymore. I've started to see them as lessons. But something's still missing. I feel like my thinking is stuck, like I'm not able to dream big enough, you know?" Uncle Ved listened intently, nodding thoughtfully. He took a deep breath before speaking. "You're absolutely right. Learning from failure is an important first step, but if you want to take your thinking to the next level, you need to challenge your ideas further." He paused, looking at Arv. "The next lesson is about something even more powerful, creating questions out of thin air." Arv furrowed his brows, confused. "Creating questions? What does that even mean?" With a knowing smile, Uncle Ved explained, "The greatest strength in thinking isn't about finding answers, Arv. It's about asking the right questions. When you ask the right questions, they guide you towards the right answers." "But Uncle," Arv interrupted, still a bit perplexed, "I've been trying to find answers. Why are questions more important than answers?" Uncle Ved sat beside Arv, his expression thoughtful. "When you ask a question, you challenge your own thinking. You admit that there might be something you don't fully know. Asking, 'Is this really right?' or 'Can I see this differently?' forces your mind to go deeper." Arv leaned in, intrigued but still unsure. "Okay, but how do I even start asking myself these questions? I'm not sure what I should be asking." Uncle Ved chuckled, his voice warm with patience. "Imagine you're teaching someone else your idea. What questions would they ask? When you teach, you have to explain things in depth. And during that process, you begin to see the gaps in your own understanding. That's when you ask yourself, what am I missing? Arav nodded slowly, a light bulb flickering in his mind. So, I should be asking myself questions that help me dig deeper into my own solutions. Exactly, Uncle Ved exclaimed. When you ask questions, you're not just scratching the surface. You're diving into the roots of the problem. You go beyond what's obvious, and that's when real progress happens. Arav listened closely, the gears in his mind turning. But Uncle, what if I ask the wrong question? Won't it just confuse me more? Uncle Ved laughed heartily this time, patting Arav on the back. There's no such thing as a wrong question, Arav. Every question teaches you something. Even if it leads you in the wrong direction, it shows you where not to go. And that, my boy, is also part of learning. Arav's eyes sparkled with realization. So, it's not about getting it right every time. It's about exploring, learning, and understanding more with each question. Uncle Ved nodded, his expression proud. Exactly. The more you question, the more you learn. The right questions will guide you toward better answers, and even the wrong questions will help you avoid pitfalls. Arav felt a surge of motivation coursing through him. He now understood the power of asking questions. Uncle, how will I know if my question is the right one? Uncle Ved leaned back, his gaze fixed on the sky. A question is right if it leads you to new knowledge. If it pushes you to think differently, or if it helps you see something you hadn't noticed before, then it's the right question. Even if it doesn't give you a clear answer, it's still valuable. Feeling inspired, Arav promised himself he would ask more questions about everything. Uncle Ved smiled and turned the page of his book, reading aloud. Cultivate curiosity in yourself and others. You see, Arav, Uncle Ved continued, it's not just about your own questions. Encourage others to ask questions too. Make them think. When you inspire curiosity in others, you deepen your own understanding. The more questions, the deeper the thinking. Arav took a deep breath. So, I should ask questions to others too? Get them to think more deeply? Uncle Ved's eyes lit up. Absolutely. When you ask others questions, you challenge their thinking. And when you make them think harder, they'll return the favor. It's a cycle. The more questions, the more thought. Arav now fully understood the power of questioning. He decided that from now on, he would ask questions of himself and others. With newfound clarity, Arav thanked Uncle Ved and set off toward home, eager to write in his journal. Later that evening, he scribbled down in his diary, ask questions because every question leads to a new idea. The right questions guide you to the right path. True thinking begins with challenging your thoughts. In the days that followed, Arav saw the impact of this new approach. His thoughts were sharper, his ideas clearer. Every small detail seemed worth questioning. Is this the best way? Can I do better? One day, as he was once again walking in the park, he bumped into Uncle Ved. The old man's eyes twinkled when he saw Arav. Ah, I can see it in your eyes. You've started mastering the art of thinking. Arav laughed. Yes, Uncle. Asking questions has given my thoughts a new direction. But his voice trailed off as he frowned slightly. Even though new ideas are coming, they still feel kind of ordinary. Nothing groundbreaking. Uncle Ved nodded knowingly. You're on the right track, Arav, but now it's time to take it further. The next lesson is this. Tap into the flow of ideas. Arav's brow furrowed again. Tap into the flow of ideas? What does that even mean? Uncle Ved smiled, leaning in as if revealing a secret. Thinking doesn't just exist in the present moment. You need to connect your ideas to both the past and the future. Look back to understand where problems began, and look forward to imagine what might happen. Arav's eyes widened with surprise. So, you're saying I should always be thinking about both the past and the future? Uncle Ved nodded wisely. Exactly. When you look at a problem, don't just focus on now. Understand how it started, and consider what it could lead to. When you connect your thinking across time, you unlock a deeper, more powerful flow of ideas. Arv leaned in, intrigued. But how do I recognize that flow, Uncle? Uncle Ved smiled, knowing Arv was ready for the next step. And with that, Arv's journey into the world of deeper thinking continued, always asking, always learning. How to know if your ideas are moving in the right direction. As Arv strolled through the park, he found himself deep in thought again. The last conversation with Uncle Ved had sparked something inside him, but he still felt there was something missing. Just then, he spotted Uncle Ved sitting on his usual bench, sipping tea and gazing at the sky. Arv walked over and, with a slight smile, said, "Uncle, I've been thinking a lot lately, but I still feel like I'm not sure if my ideas are heading in the right direction." Uncle Ved looked up, a knowing smile on his face, and motioned for Arv to sit beside him. "Come closer," he said. "You're asking the right question. How do you know if your ideas are moving forward or just stuck?" He paused, letting the words sink in before continuing. "When you're tackling a problem, first, you need to understand its history. Look back. How did this issue start? What events led to its rise? And how have others tried to solve it in the past?" Arv listened intently, nodding. "So, I need to dig into the past every time I think of something new?" Uncle Ved chuckled softly. "Not always," he replied. "But when you're working on a fresh idea or a tough problem, it helps to know what's been done before. History can often reveal hidden gems, solutions others may have missed, or mistakes they made. By recognizing those, you strengthen your own ideas, understand the roots, and you'll build something much more solid." Arv leaned back, his brow furrowed in thought. "That makes sense. But what about the future? How do I even begin to think ahead?" Uncle Ved's eyes sparkled. "Ah, the future. Imagining the future is just as important as understanding the past. When you're working on an idea, picture it. Ask yourself, if I implement this solution, what could the outcomes be? Could there be consequences I haven't thought of? Could it create new opportunities or unforeseen problems?" Arv was hanging on to every word now, feeling his understanding deepen with each sentence. "So, I shouldn't just live in the present. I need to look back at the past and forward to the future." Uncle Ved nodded, a warm, approving smile on his face. "Exactly, Arv. Real power in thinking comes when you weave together the past, present, and future. When you know where an idea started, where it is now, and where it could go, that's when you truly know if you're heading in the right direction." Arv, inspired, pulled out his notebook and began scribbling down notes. Uncle Ved watched him with a soft smile and added, "Remember, never stop the flow of ideas. Always connect them across time. Don't just look at them as isolated thoughts. See them as part of a larger journey." Arv looked up from his notes, his eyes lighting up with understanding. "So, ideas are like a river, flowing from the past through the present and into the future?" Uncle Ved beamed. "Yes, exactly. When you allow your thoughts to flow through time, you gain clarity. Your thinking becomes stronger, more insightful. You see things others miss. And here's something crucial to remember. Consider your ideas across different time horizons. What seems small and insignificant today might become a big breakthrough tomorrow. So, never underestimate any idea." Arv nodded, his heart racing with excitement. "I get it now, Uncle. I'm going to start viewing my thoughts with a much wider perspective." Uncle Ved gave him a pat on the back, clearly proud. "Good. But remember, never stop the flow. Always allow your ideas to stretch through time, and you'll see their true power. The more you connect them with the past and the future, the better your solutions will become." Arv, filled with new energy, stood up, ready to tackle his challenges with a renewed sense of purpose. "Thank you, Uncle. I feel like I'm finally understanding how to think, how to truly think. But He hesitated for a moment. I still feel like there's something more. Uncle Ved leaned back, his eyes thoughtful. You're right, Arif. You've made great strides in how you think. But now comes the next lesson. He paused, letting the anticipation build, then said, now it's time for you to not just change your thoughts, but to transform yourself. Arif was taken aback. Transform myself? What does that even mean? Uncle Ved's face grew serious, but his voice remained gentle. It means that your journey doesn't stop with just changing how you think. True transformation happens when you take everything you've learned and make it a part of who you are. You must become the change. Arif was quiet, trying to grasp the weight of those words. But how do I do that? Uncle Ved smiled, sensing the deep question behind Arif's uncertainty. It's never easy, Arif. Change isn't supposed to be easy, but it's necessary. If you want to truly evolve, you have to live the lessons you've learned, not just think about them. And that will take time, effort, and patience. Arif felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew this was the path he needed to take, but he also knew it wouldn't be simple. Thank you, Uncle. I think I'm ready. Transforming yourself, the ultimate key to success. Arif sat by the window, lost in thought. He had learned so much from Uncle Ved over the past few weeks, but one question kept circling his mind. How do I truly change? Determined to get some answers, he headed to the park, where he knew he'd find Uncle Ved. Sure enough, there he was sitting on his favorite bench under the big oak tree, as calm and wise as ever. Arif approached him, hesitated for a second, then said, Uncle, I've been thinking. I understand everything you've taught me so far, but how do I bring all these lessons into my life? How do I really change? Uncle Ved looked at him with that familiar, gentle smile. Arif, to truly change, you must first set your goals. But, he paused, his voice softening. Your goals should not just be about achievement. You must focus on goals that will help you grow, goals that will develop your thinking and shape your personality. Arif frowned, confused. So, I shouldn't focus on success alone? Uncle Ved chuckled and nodded. Exactly. Too often, people chase achievements and call it success. But true success, Arif, comes when you change from within. When you focus on your growth, the achievements will naturally follow. But if all you care about is success, your mind becomes stagnant. Arif's eyes widened in realization. So, you're saying I need to dig deeper into my thinking and work on improving it? Uncle Ved nodded again. Yes, Arif, you've learned 4 powerful lessons so far. Now it's time to go deeper. You must understand them at a fundamental level and make them a part of your mindset. That's where real transformation begins. Arif was silent for a moment, then asked the question that had been bothering him for days. But Uncle, how do I change? What do I have to do? Uncle Ved looked directly at him, his expression serious but kind. Change comes when you challenge yourself, Arif. Every single day. Transformation isn't something you do once and forget about. It's a continuous process. You must apply what you've learned daily in every situation. Don't think that just because you've learned something, your journey is over. No, change is never-ending. Arif nodded, starting to grasp the enormity of what Uncle Ved was saying. So, I need to work on changing myself every day. Uncle Ved smiled warmly. Exactly. You must strive to become a better version of yourself every day. And to do that, you need to continuously develop your learning process. Go back to the lessons you've learned. Think about them again and again. See how you can understand them more deeply and apply them even better. Arif's face lit up with determination. I get it now, Uncle. I won't set goals just for success. I'll focus on my growth. Uncle Ved clapped him on the back, his smile full of pride. That's the right path, Arif. Remember, change should never stop. You must always try to become a better version of yourself. Only when you bring about this inner transformation will you truly change the way you think. Arif thanked Uncle Ved and left the park, his mind buzzing with new ideas. As he walked home, he realized how much deeper he needed to understand himself and push for continuous growth. That evening, he sat down with his journal and wrote, "Transformation is the real key. Becoming a new person every day is true success." Months passed, and Arif felt tremendous changes in his life. He was more focused on his studies and his personal growth. Every mistake, no matter how small, became a lesson for him. He no longer feared failure. Instead, he saw it as an opportunity to learn. One day, sitting in the same park, he reflected on his journey. How far have I come? He wondered. And then, like a flash, Uncle Ved's words came back to him. Without a second thought, Arif rushed to the park, the very place where it had all started. As he approached, he saw Uncle Ved, calm as always, sitting under the oak tree. Arif smiled and called out, "Uncle." Uncle Ved looked up, his eyes twinkling. "Arif, how's your journey going?" Arif's heart swelled with pride. "Uncle, your lessons, they've changed my life. I've started to really understand my thinking, and I'm working every day to transform myself. Now I know what true success is." Uncle Ved smiled, a satisfied look in his eyes. "That's wonderful to hear, my boy. But remember, this journey doesn't end here. Change, true change, is a never-ending process. You must always strive to become better." Arif nodded, his voice full of conviction. "I know, Uncle. Now I realize real victory comes not from winning against others, but from challenging myself, from becoming better than I was yesterday." Uncle Ved placed a hand on Arif's shoulder. "You've learned a lesson that few people ever grasp, Arif. And now, it's your responsibility to pass it on. Teach others what you've learned. When you teach someone else, you'll learn even more." Arif thought for a moment, then smiled. "You're right, Uncle. I'll share what I've learned, and I'll help others along this path." Uncle Ved's smile deepened. "That, Arif, is the true measure of success. You're starting a new journey now. Helping others grow will never end, and that will be your true legacy." Arif shook Uncle Ved's hand, his heart full of gratitude. "Thank you, Uncle. You've given me something I could never find anywhere else. I'll always live by your teachings." Uncle Ved's voice softened. "Remember, Arif, you have the strength within you to overcome any challenge. Just believe in yourself and keep learning." As Arif left the park, he walked with newfound confidence, each step filled with purpose and clarity. He had embraced the process of transformation and knew that this was the real strength he carried within, not just for himself, but for others too. So friends, that was today's lesson. If you found value in it, be sure to comment and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Ladder Up, for more insights.